Well, good afternoon. Welcome. This is round of 16 for the main tournament of Link to the Past Randomizer. You might have seen Ari and Matt face off in game 1 yesterday. They're back, in this case, for Inverted Key Sanity, thanks to our awesome tracker, Tofel, already marking it. This is game 2. We can see, actually, Ari ended up taking a win. In game 1, their mode was MC Boss Shuffle. Can you really call it a win when Ari did not end up finishing the seed with any boots? But you know what? We're here. Ari is hoping to get another win and close out the series 2-0 as how he has been progressing throughout this entire tournament so far. Matt, of course, also as per his tradition, has lost the first game but looking to make a reverse sweep in order to force out a game 3 and keep his tournament life alive. So this, between both Darklings, Titans of Rando, this should be an excellent match. On tracking, we have one of the best key trackers, Tofile, and who better, of course, to commentate some keys is Wall Kicks. He is not only his own top 32 participant waiting for his final match, but also, he's a cross keys ladder champion as well as veterans and a very high placement in the cross keys tournaments. This should be a great time. Wall Kicks, hello, are you ready?
Hi, yeah, I'm doing great. I was like, I could just let you commentate this whole thing and just enjoy it from the sidelines.
No, we need you. You are the keys expert here. I mean, while this is not insurance, of course, and I do believe that, some people do have some opinions about inverted cross keys, but you know what? This is just regular, non-insurance, but this is inverted key sanity, so hopefully this will be a good time.
I mean, inverted cross keys is a wonderful mode, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That definitely wasn't me saying it was bad. But yeah, just inverted key sanity. Inverted key sanity with the flute start. I wasn't sure when we first learned about this being one of the modes how it was going to play out, but I've actually really enjoyed the idea of having a flute start. It opens up more options and kind of just lets you maneuver the game a little bit more. We're seeing both runners kind of starting by going straight to the mire area, which is I think something you see a lot of runners do early on.
Yeah, right, and actually you mentioned this kind of flute start. I think after the initial proposal for the tournament, right, this was actually just to be pure inverted. Admins were very kind to take some player feedback, and I think they ended up adding keys, and in particular they added a starting activated flute. And I think you're actually right. So many openings, basically from runners, has just been flute to mire shed because that is 2 quick checks. You can get some bomb, a little bit of money. Especially in inverted keys or not, early resources especially is actually very important, especially money, right? There's a digging game, there's chess game. You just really need kind of 20 rupees to get yourself started, right? As we're pretty actually seeing, looks like Matt maybe going to try and farm a bomb or two, but maybe use that 20 rupees for a very, commonly seen now arrow game.
Yeah, although he gets bombs right there, which is kind of one of the early things that you want to try to pick up in this mode because that gets you access into Hype Cave, which is obviously 5 very quick items. He's going to go probably farm a couple of rupees to go do dig game. I'm not the biggest fan of this start because I feel like there are much quicker checks that you can run into and do during this time. We've already seen Ari do C-shaped house, and he's going to get these 4 checks right here in Thieves Town. These are quick checks that you can do, and while Matt's taking his time to go do arrow game, and we saw Ari pick up a hammer.
Oh yeah. We all love permanent weapons, by the way. It's not quite sword level, in the hitbox is a little less predictable, but anything that will get you 10% or damage, especially something that you can use, that's not a consumable, that's certainly going to be very desirable to have.
Yeah, and having a hammer means we're probably looking at a hammer glove light world access. I almost said dark world access. I'm gonna have to train myself a little bit on that.
Oh, what keys are you in this tournament? Haven't you played inverted keys yet?
Yeah, that doesn't mean I talk about it all the time.
Oh, okay, that's true. We don't try and think about it.
But having say a hammer glove light world access really makes for some interesting routing choices once you actually get to the light world, and is personally my preferred way of light world access. I mean, I think everyone when asked would prefer a hammer glove otherworld access in any mode, but I think that it routes it, I think, a little bit smoother in my experience in this mode. We're going to see Matt kind of take the bombs that he's picked up. Ari not having picked up any bombs. It's a death.
Ari is kindly reminding us just the dangers of inverted, especially those, even keys are not, right? And Dark World is a very dangerous place. There's on green mail, 4 hearts, luckily, I guess, but, Dark World enemies certainly do not care about the health that you have. Ari almost just got, hit by the rope as well. Matt, though, I think, so missed actually quite a bit of stuff, but I did see an Ice Rod, I saw a small key to Turtle Rock, but it looks like actually a pretty good hype cave haul.
Yeah, and
Is Eri gonna live?
No, he's not, but he got what was needed out of that, which was the rupees.
Oh.
So you're seeing, I guess, one of the probably downsides to inverted seeds early on, and that's kind of.
Did you just say one of the downsides? Okay,
I'd say
please
one
continue.
of the downsides. Yes, one of the downsides.
Okay, yes.
Nice hook shot, which is kind of getting some of the early resources that you need to kind of get some of the items that are required, which are, you know, getting to Hype Cave and figuring, kind of going from there.
Yeah.
And so you're just going to see Eri pick up the bombs right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say though that hook shot though certainly actually would be very beneficial. Of course, Matt's gonna have it right now, but that hook shot not only of course does it instantly kill some enemies, but also does a very important stun effect. And yeah, as we've experienced, I guess twice now on Ares' side, that Darkhold enemies, it would definitely be in your favor to try and live.
Yeah, it's always in your best interest to stay alive over the course of a rando seed. But it can definitely have a little bit of an impact. Especially we're 5 minutes into the seed and you're already like, oh man, I've already died twice. Like,
yeah,
that kind of early mental damage can be like you start to get tilted, things start to go wrong, and it can just escalate from there. But Eri already with a 1-game-to-none lead probably isn't feeling too bad regardless of how the seed goes.
And certainly, right, and especially, for how much experience, both Eri and Matt have, you certainly can't get to, champion level, top tier runner without at least actually some amount of mental fortitude. Rando, we keep talking about this guy, has great execution, great routing instincts, mental game actually is very important, actually, because, like, you can still play your game, but if you're not kind of like in it, right, your head's not in the right place, you get, in this case, like you said, tilted, all that execution just goes like right out the window.
Yeah, and I mean, it absolutely is also a thing where, like, you look at your opponent and think, oh man, I'm facing Matt, I'm facing Eri, I'm facing Young, Andy, any one of these top runners, and if you don't really think of yourself as like, oh man, I maybe don't have the execution that it to match these guys, that's another thing that you kind of got to think about when it comes to, like, your mental preparation for any kind of race.
Oh yeah.
But with these two runners, I don't think we're going to see that. These two are amazing runners. Let me be clear.
Yeah. No, of course, Eri and Matt both have, like, the slew of accolades, right? Eri's won multiple rando championships or tournaments. Of course, most famously probably for not necessarily rando, but world record holder for NMG. With their 123 time. Matt actually 2 nights ago newly minted 124 runner.
Wow.
I mean, it is, like, these guys are probably, not only, like, I would say arguably one of the more active, runners within, this game, but I mean, also, these are, like, top tier, like, execution, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we're going to be in for, a really, really good race altogether. Matt's going to actually give us our first look into Skullwood.
Yeah.
This is,
Eri tried, okay? He really did try. just wasn't, just didn't quite get there. He got a little bit of body.
Just a little bit. I'm curious. He's probably gonna head over there right now. Although no, he's looking like we're gonna be doing the pyramid. This is not an easy check to go to, like, because it's one check all the way out here in the pyramid. This is probably like one of the worst early checks. So some people like to clown and get this out of the way immediately. And those people deserve to be punished.
No, well, Eri did take a couple of, early exits on the overworld. Perhaps that, again, it could, potentially be, influenced by this decision. Certainly do mention before, right, that the starting flute has certainly changed a little bit of, like, the opening meta. Suddenly, not like if you didn't have a starting flute, right, you're kind of, walking everywhere. Skull Woods is, like, kind of a trek. Thiefstown, Village of Outcasts kind of trek. But, with the flute, you can get there pretty quickly. Oh, good. There's a key to Castle Tower.
Ooh, that's interesting, because we can get to Castle Tower right here, right now. Not a whole lot we can do with it, right? We could get the 2 checks that are in Castle Tower, but without a sword, without a lamp, actually doing, and the second Castle Tower key, actually doing that is not in logic.
Yeah, right. And of course, these runners, don't have the lamp. Not that they necessarily would need it, but kind of on this, like, health and equipment level, I certainly don't think they would turn it down, right? You mentioned in this case, like, a sword in this case, would actually add a lot of benefit, right? Because at least that is some sort of indicator, nice and bright, shiny little light, or to kind of guide your way. Hammer is okay, right? But not quite the same.
Right, and so it'll be interesting to kind of see where our next progression. Oh,
Oh,
all right.
hey,
Well,
look, there's a sword.
there's
All
a
right,
sword.
yeah.
Interesting. Oh
Matt's
no,
gonna.
Harry.
Oh no, Eri, poor Eri.
That's kind of frustrating because that can very much be like a man. There's really nothing you can do about that kind of
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Yeah, and again, right, are you typically expected to be coming into Skull Woods, on green mail, 3 effective hearts? Of course not. But Eri, actually second time around, really demonstrating his NMG abilities.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a King Samurai for that. Sometimes you just get up a little bit unlucky, right, with the Gyptos.
Yeah. Did pick up a key to Turtle Rock, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
along. Yeah, I think that was what was right there. Matt picked up, I think, a pod key along the way. There's a pod key and a TR key somewhere in here.
Yeah. I believe you're right. Eri actually making very good timing of the Wall Master. This is also another thing that if you get timed correctly, this is basically like a free mirror, back to the original place. Actual benefits from a Wall Master. Oh my gosh, Eri.
Wow, that enemy just hopped that hammer like nothing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Ari's gonna be, rewarded in this case. He's finding solace within the dungeon, which is great. He's going to be rewarded with the sword, and a sword again doesn't do quite as much damage, but heck yeah, it is much better hitbox.
Yeah, he picked up this key. I wonder if he's going to open up the small key door right here. I would generally advise against this because this is kind of a good end of your route. Yeah, he's not going to pick that up because this isn't entrance where you're
Right.
guaranteed a skull small key in the pinball room or whatever it's called.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very, great distinction, especially with a potential cross keys tournament, upcoming. I believe that was recently announced. Admin wall kicks, thank you. But yes, but like in this particular main tournament, right, because there is no entrance involved, if you end up spinning that key, you could potentially be in Skullwood small key go mode. Just another one of those things where you potentially would actually need in order to complete the dungeon or end the seed.
Yeah. All right, Matt's going to head up to the mountain and give us our first look here. With the Lionels, there we go. Had to think of that. Had to think of what they were called.
those one hit KO enemies. Yes, gotcha.
So you kind of you got to learn how to navigate the bridge and kind of get used to your damage boosting. So it'll be interesting to see these runners navigate. With 3 hearts, you can damage boost your way through the Lionel bridge. It's not necessarily easy, but it's doable.
Yeah, and you can actually see that in this case, like Matt was kind of trying and farm out just an extra heart. Certainly would have been very helpful to have 4 hearts, versus 3. And Ari actually kind of giving us a check, not in logic quite yet, just because we don't have that lamp. But in this particular case, right? Again, starting flute meta means that you can. We saw Matt and Ari both go up the mountain, logically available. But Ari, of course, is in this case investing a bit of his time in order to probably make one of arguably the longest checks in the game, is rescuing the old man.
Yeah, I've never really given it much thought to think how long rescuing the old man takes, but in inverted, it takes a long time.
Oh heck yeah! Mm-hmm. Yep. And people like to play. Where's the GT big key guessing game? How many blue balls Agnum? In inverted, but we get to count how many times we climb the mountain. I believe the old man counts twice.
I'm sure it does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it does. So we did the 2 Agate Tower checks. Didn't find anything of value.
Yeah, we found 20 rupees and 3 bombs. And, Matt did have, in this case, actually quite contrary to probably actually the game 1, but he was basically just strapped for any type of bombs anywhere. For example, like Heldasaur was on, in the Hera arena, and Matt only had like 3 bombs. So it was a bit difficult for him to try and break off the mask. But in this case, he is definitely more than filled with a number of resources. Nothing really looks like that's good on the mountain, though.
I mean, we did see a glove on top of Spec Rock.
All right. Okay. Interesting. We can't quite get there yet. Again, inverted. The mirror is, I would say, arguably a bit more powerful. And of course, and when you go up to Death Mountain, the mirror is a nice shortcut over to Tower of Hera, right? That glove, you definitely need to go all the way around. There is no mirror shortcut in this particular case.
Nope. But I suspect once we get Moon Pearl, our first stop, in Light World is going to be the mountain because we can go get that glove and give us regular Light World access.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. We got the early hammer from Thieves Town, and then yeah, as soon as we go and find that moon pearl, we're definitely gonna go try to pick up that glove. Now, of course, in inverted, myths are not strictly necessary. They certainly make your life a whole heck of a lot nicer. And of course, the only check that is hard required by the myths is King's Tomb. And of course, we still. We also need boots for that, but let's not get ahead of ourselves quite yet in this scene.
Matt's making the play into pod. We can get 3 checks in logic here because we do have the 1 small key. I feel like Matt, I feel like Matt knows how to mimic lip, so I suspect we're probably going to get 5 checks in here.
Okay. Let's see how, in this case, confident he is. Eri, I also would like to see how confident he is with the hammer. Oh no, poor Eri.
He's not very confident right now, unfortunately.
Oh. These deaths. I mean, these are definitely very brutal. Like on Eri. Hopefully, he has in this case, he's just basically trucking right through and just keeping his head within the game.
Eri's been playing a lot of rando today.
That is true. that is true. He did his NMG 100% marathon run this morning for charity at 9 a.m. Eastern. He just played Humbug in his Open Plus Invitational ladder at 1 p.m. Eastern, and here we are. Seed / game number 3 for Eri. The fact that he is basically over here is
that's quite a testament. Pearl and pod.
It is, man, and it's within logic too, right?
Yeah, because of the 1 small key. So that's good for Matt because, Matt's probably just going to take this straight over to the mountain, go get his glove, and kind of go from there. So it'll be interesting to see how Eri approaches this next decision. Is he going to go to Super Bunny Cave? It looks like he is. He can only do the 2 checks here, though.
Yeah, but it looks like, especially, you mentioned damage boosting potentially. Looks like Eri is probably going to be comfortable with this, trying to get through, in this case, the Lynels. Or he's just gonna, ram himself right through, and we're past the Lynels. Thank you.
Hey, that works. That's all you,
yep, that's
you
right.
Need to do.
You do not argue with results with lines. That's actually going to be pretty nice for Eri as well. He's going to get the 2 checks here. He will also fill up his magic bar because there is a full pad here. And with that ice rod, potentially going to be another, clutch weapon.
That was really fast.
Ooh, a small key to Thieves Town. That is an interesting small key.
You like to have it, especially with the hammer. So once you pick up the Thieves Big, you're not isolating the big chest.
Yeah.
Alright, where is Eri off to? Oh, is he doing another tree pull? This is a dangerous tree pull, by the way.
Yeah, looks not quite the rupees that he might have been looking for because, so we just see, Matt kind of taking a little bit of early game time with the archery game, ended up getting, a good amount of money. I think Eri needs some money to go into pod.
Yeah, you'd be right.
Oh no, did that rupee count?
I thought it did. Yeah, because he had 56, so when he's at 86, which is not correct, so he should have. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But he still needed 1 more.
Yes. Oh my gosh, poor Eri. All right. No, we're gonna think very positive thoughts for him. He is definitely still making progress, and okay, he killed the bomber. Oh my gosh.
Of course. The rest of the enemies are like, hi, we're here.
Yes, alright, okay. He is safely, in this case, I've gotten everything. Already activated the flute, probably going straight over the pod, which is great for news for Eri because, in this case, we just see Matt pull out the pearl, and it's going to be able to enable us to go and basically go get our glove and go over to Lightworld, which is significantly safer, by the way, than where we've been.
Can confirm. A couple of things that Matt picked up in Paradox Cave include the flippers, the lamp, and another TR small key, which, according to our tracker, is 3 already.
That is a lot. Thank you, Topile. That is actually, yes. We have not actually seen what is the entry for Turtle Rock. Is that correct? Like the medallion?
I don't think Eri went all the way up, and if you did, oh, Eri, please.
Oh no, Eri. Poor guy. Oh my gosh. Eri, just, take a deep breath. We're basically going straight through this. Another great thing about the flute, the setting was activated. We basically get just really fast travel. So while he did make it, pretty close to pod, certainly not going to be too big a deal in order to get back here. Matt has begun his mountain climb.
Again.
Cycles. Yep. That's right. Again.
One of the rough things about inverted is the mountain, just because
Yes.
you find yourself climbing it a lot.
Yep. With no real recourse, in order to kind of speed things up a bit, right? You know, we talk about, you know, in this case, getting some boosts, making, yeah, like, yeah, you can dash, but, you know, going up the mountain, really, boosts don't really help all that much, sadly.
Yeah, Matt's saying, hey, I want the glove right now. Gotta be a little careful. Don't want to inadvertently jump off.
Oh yeah, that would be, geez, yeah, you know, you talk about, like, Tower of Hera being a pretty big time commitment or get over here, right? Because we can't take any shortcuts. If you fall, you're definitely adding a couple minutes to your round trip.
Because it's just like, because it's inverted, that little entryway to the top of Spec Rock isn't usually there, so the it kind of the where you move in relation to like jumping off of a cliff is a little bit awkward, and so you can all of a sudden you think you're moving, and then you see you're not moving, and then you put 2 and 2 together, and you think, oh no, I'm about to jump off.
Yeah.
And sure enough, you do.
That is such a bad feeling. Alright, so Matt, though, I think we actually kind of saw this in the last game, or previous games as well. Very nice bootsless setup for Herapod, where basically, you know, kind of bypass most of the dungeon in order to get us up here. And of course, you know, this is not MC Boss Shuffle. We're not going to face the Helmasaur up here, or, you know, Vitreous, Colster, whatever. You know, with the Fighter Sword, you know, the fact that, you know, both Matt and Eri are very accomplished NMG runners, hopefully should be an okay time. Of course, they have the hammers back up.
One thing to note is that Matt already has all 3 medallions. So regardless of what our TR entry is, you know, once we get Canis Mari, we would be able to do that.
Yeah. Alright, Eri, though, so, right, I don't actually think we saw Matt do this. He basically left pretty much after he got this pearl. Eri, though, looks like he is potentially going to try and maybe make him a little bit of self-redemption in order to try and get this Mimic off the screen.
Yep, so if you are watching for the first time and you're wondering what Eri is doing, basically he is pushing the Mimic into the wall, and once that happens far enough, the Mimic will just kind of yeet himself away, and that's all you need to do to get to the 2 chests that are essentially bow-locked.
Nice job, Eri.
Like
yes, just like that. Really nice demonstration. Yeah, and you know, of course, this is a really actually great way to, in order to get over here to the bow lock site if you don't have a bow, or you don't, in this case, have like a potion. So this actually can be pretty good, depending on what's over here for Eri. Oh my gosh!
The
other glove! Holy cow! Oh wow! And of course, Paki! What? Wow! Oh my gosh, dude! What a bounty! Holy cow!
That's really big.
Yeah. We're not probably gonna see Matt come back here for quite some time. Oh my gosh, that bumper. Okay, that definitely was not Eri's fault, by the way. I mean, it's just these are that was pretty unfortunate. But yeah, like so you know, even if Matt has a bow, right? You know, like he's already been over to pod. He has so much. He's light world access right now, right? He probably will be, you know, doing a lot of light world stuff. Versus, you know, whenever he decides to come back here is going to be potentially quite some time.
Now, as Chad is pointing out, and as you have said before, you know, the mitts only explicitly lock 1 check for us, but I think in just terms of routing efficiency, I can definitely think this can help.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, right, so like, for example, like, let's say you want to go to desert, right? Well, you could just flute in the Dark World, you know, to flute spot 6, and then pick up, like, the Mist Rock, right? And boom, you're at desert. You know, nice powder in the Dark Maze. You know, but in this case, like, Matt doesn't have that luxury, right? So if he wants to go to desert, he is, you know, his best option is kind of just to kind of walk over.
Yep. And Matt, with his, you know, light world access in hand, Eri, you pick that up in the air, so you're gonna need to go through this door, which he does just fine. But Matt's starting the South Shore route. I really like this route in inverted, like this light world route in inverted, when you have hammer and glove light world access, because you can do, you know, dam into Mini Moldorm Cave, probably over to Ice Rod Cave, and then jump in the portal, and then take that over to Kakariko, and that's a really solid loot. That was a fire rod.
Yeah, that was a
Aries
fire rod. Holy cow, Pod. This mimic clip has oh my gosh. Well, okay, so like the bow is just locking like a million things apparently, including those mitts and fire rod. Holy cow.
Yeah, I guess because this is 6 key locks. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, that's actually that is quite the haul in this case. Hopefully in this case, you know, especially with actually several kind of early exits, you know, on Aries' side, especially in the overworld, this will hopefully get him, you know, a bit of confidence, you know, kind of put himself back into this game.
Yeah, and Eri also doing the good thing and remembering that, you know, the 2 checks that are in logic that he hasn't actually done here in this dungeon.
Oh, right, we came here for actual logical checks, right. We have a pearl in order to grab. Forgot about that. I got so excited with everything else.
So that is light world access for Eri. He probably knows very well though that that glove isn't his logical first glove. Of course, he knows where his logical first glove is, and I imagine we'll still probably make a beeline in that direction. One thing that he can do, I don't know if he's gonna do it right here, right now, that Matt wasn't able to do initially was Hookshot Cave, because he has his glove already.
Oh, that is actually really, man, wall kicks. that is great. That's actually a great point out. There's gonna be a couple more checks in this case for Aries. We're probably even more incentivized to come up here. I mean, in this case, I think right, he does have in this case of light world access, you know, with the gloves that he sequence broke out, but so certainly all the more reason to pick up the mitts, make his life, you know, a bit easier in terms of access and mobility, as well as getting some extra checks that he actually probably knows, right? That Matt will not actually see these 4 checks in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, I mean, he did just go in the light world right now, so he's probably more focused on getting the glove immediately, so he's not going to do Hookshot Cave right now. But, you know, that was something that Matt didn't do. So if Eri does that, depending on what's in there, that could be a little bit of an advantage as well.
Now, of course, you mentioned earlier, you know, this kind of like nicer routing from South Shore onto, you know, maybe doing some like water checks with the flippers, and then maybe, you know, using like the water portal. You know, this is actually really nice overworld routing, especially I think probably as expected for, you know, veteran cross keys runners. You know, overworld routing especially is this is very useful game knowledge. But also, you know, Matt was actually very fortunate to pick up 300 rupees from Ice Rock Cave. And so he's actually gonna have enough money for Zora.
He's gonna have just enough, yeah. So this will actually work out a little bit for him. One thing that we picked up in Paradox that I don't think either of us mentioned or noticed was the Ice Big Key. And with, you know, that's kind of available for our runners at this point for both Matt and Eri. Matt has bombos that he picked up out of Hera.
Oh, right.
And Eri has the Fire Rod, which, you know, came in Dark Maze and Pod.
Yeah, and of course with the Fire Rod, though, it's going to be, you know, pretty significantly faster versus using bombos. Alright, so Matt, though, of course, in logic, a Waterfall Fairy checks did pick up a big key of Skullwood, so that is something we're going to be able to check. Did see 300 on the ledge. I don't know, is that tempting for you, wall kicks, at all?
It's kind of tempting. You know, especially if I'm about to spend 500 rupees right here.
Yeah. Right.
Especially if kind of the plan is to, you know, kind of maybe go back south and actually walk out of this area. Like, if I'm walking out of this area,
I've got no problem picking up those 300 rupees. Oh, that's certainly a very good point, right? You know, again, you know, inverted overworld routing, you know, is certainly going to be quite different. But looks like Matt is actually not interested. Potentially, he is going to start somewhere else, into Dark World, into Light Worlds.
Fair enough. I wonder if it's been figured out now that, given this mode with Flute Start, you never start at Dark Chapel ever.
Yeah, that's true. There's nothing of value there for you, right?
There's nothing. There is no reason to ever start Dark Chapel.
I mean, unless maybe like someone eventually maybe turns on hints or something. But I mean, it's like no, there is like again 0 reason. You don't get an item. You know, Dark Chapel used to be before starting Flute. You know, your kind of main access into Skull Woods and Village of Outcasts. But hey, we got a Flute. Who cares about anything in this case? Like the little I don't know, like hand or whoever like the NPC says, right? Yeah, we've got much better mobility.
Quicker to walk out of Link's house to get to the flute. So
yeah, that's right.
There's no reason to ever start Dark Sank in this mode.
Alright, Matt ended up getting mugged in this case, by one of the thieves. But, undeterred, he's still got plenty of resources left, so he is going to take a little bit longer way into Light World and going to give us, like, the North Light World chats.
4 TR spawn?
Yeah, dude, where is the King of Samaria? Like, I mean, we don't have the mirror, right? And if the mirror is somewhere in Turtle Rock, like, we definitely have to go through the front somewhere in order to go get it.
Yeah, it's crazy that you see all 4 TR keys inverted. Just because of how you can usually access TR in this mode.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Crazy.
Alright, so that is Moldorm also down for Eri. So both runners with a pendant to their name on the board. Not obviously like the greatest prize that you want to see, but at least it does also give both runners a little bit of more knowledge, right? They don't know, of course, which dungeons or crystals or pendants until, of course, they can find a map, do a map check, or actually go beat the dungeon. But that is at least one fewer pendant out there for them to kind of stumble upon.
Yep. A little bit of a decision time for Eri. Eri, the first trip over here on east of the mountain, did not do Mimic Cave. Something that Matt did. I don't think it was anything of value, so Eri could save a little bit of time if he ends up skipping Mimic Cave right here.
Yeah, and again, like early game, Eri certainly did have quite a few hiccups in this case, just because the Dark World enemies were just so brutal, basically to his health and well-being. But then again, he got actually a really great boost of confidence because he Mimic Clip Pod, got mitts, gloves, and eventually mitts out of it, and then another pod key to let him go to the back and get like a fire rod. So hopefully he's feeling okay, but I can certainly still see him maybe trying to maybe cut like a corner or two, right? Every single time you go up the mountain, it is like not only tedious, but it's very time consuming, right? So it's really going to be understandable if he chooses to skip it.
We see our first bottle here in the back of Escape, which will route nicely in once we go to Kakariko.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
No.
I was going to say, like, we've talked about how Eri's picked up kind of some of the time that he's gained back from Matt from his early deaths by doing the pod play. In his mind, does he think Matt has also done the Mimic Clip and likely has the same thing that he does?
So I certainly can't speculate on maybe what Eri thinks. Nice quick swaps. Sorry. I would like to say that maybe Matt is not like as comfortable, or in his tournament, like on demand Mimic Clip. So I would like to think that Eri thinks that this is probably more of an advantage for him versus Matt actually did spend the time to do so.
Fair enough. I mean, all speculation, of course.
Right. Yeah, we certainly I can ask them, and of course, mimic clipping is probably something a topic that probably hits Eri closer to home than others, just because probably more recently, specifically for one of his games versus Humbug in the Open Ladder Invitational, he lost that seed by 7.5 minutes just because it was a mimic clip seed, and Humbug was successful in Eri just struggled so much, and unfortunately had to take the loss for it.
Alright, we're about to get a ton of items. I feel bad for our tracker here.
Hopefully they're not going to be anything trackable.
So far, they've really not been. We get a small key.
Small, okay.
That's something.
It is something. We still need, a mirror in order to get into the swamp. Oh, look, there's Arcane.
I kind of know where we feel like we should be heading
I was going to say, yeah, okay, like, how soon are you going back up the mountain, all kicks?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense for both of our runners, because I don't think either of them have done Hookshot Cave at this point. That's 4 items plus the 4 that you can get in TR. Without a TR big key, obviously, we can't do... Well, Matt doesn't have the fire rod, so slightly less incentive on Matt's side.
Oh, right, yeah, that's true. Matt has not been to the back of pod. We do have the lamp, which does kind of put a lot of, all of the Dark Maze stuff, in logic. But, again, Matt has so much Light World stuff available to him. He probably actually, he's already been to pod once. Maybe he wants actually a couple more keys, right, in order to, to go back and pay another visit. We do have a nice semi-vanilla bottle purchase from the bottle vendor, in case anyone didn't actually know why he was called a bottle vendor. He does sell you a bottle.
I am stunned to learn that fact. Never would have thought of that.
No. You learn something new every day about this game, Wallkicks. I'm really glad that you have this educational experience here.
I'm only here for you, Clear Mouse.
Oh, I so appreciate it.
I don't want to actually learn anything about this game. I want to go in blind every time.
Okay, you know what? That is absolutely fair. Given that you've already in top 32, hoping to move on to top 16, you know, I'm gonna just trust your methods and that they work somehow.
I think about that every time I play this game.
Yes.
I'm like, how is what I'm doing working? So, you know, we've been talking for 32 minutes. You know how long these runners have been going. We have a lot of stuff.
We do, and in fact, actually, they just picked up the big key to Meyer. You know, in the back of the tavern. You know, we kept talking about, oh my gosh, we found silver TR small keys. Well, you know, we have direct Meyer access, right? We know the medallion. Yeah. We have Quake. We have a sword. We get the key to Mario. We got a big key. Is that?
I think we're full clearing Meyer here soon.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you know, there's a very slight, you know, of course, not logical caveat, is that we still don't have a bow. And there are 2 bows out there, and of course, we did see the bow kind of locking a lot of stuff, right, you know, in pod, but a fighter's sword, Vitreous, without a bow especially, doesn't seem too appealing. I'm hoping Eri, I think probably Eri is probably going for something.
Yeah, I didn't think Eri, I forgot Eri hasn't picked up his Master Sword.
Okay, Eri. Alright, so so Desert Ledge, by the way, for Eri, like, there was actually one game where if he actually just scouted Desert Ledge, would have the King of Samaria for him in one of his previous games, he actually could have saved quite some time. So the fact that he was kind of, like, weaving and, like, almost not even seeing what it was this time, was like, it's right on your path!
Oh, it's Pendant Meyer, too.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, you know what?
Pendants already. And we could just talk to Sahasrahla to figure out the last one if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess Matt's continuing on.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this place looks, you know, potentially, you know, pretty tempting, you know, for Matt. You know, again, right? You know, because he does have the Fire Rock on the back of pod, and while he does have 4 Turtle Rock small keys, you know, maybe again that's not gonna be enough to, you know, push him over to the mountain because again, mountain trip is pretty expensive in terms of time. But you know, we got Meyer, we got everything you need basically. Maybe Matt won't even invest the time to go back to Vitreous. I don't know.
I mean, like if I saw the Pendant Meyer, I would almost probably switch it up and head over to ice at this point. Because we have a full clearable ice on.
You are so correct, Malcakes.
Of course, watch it also be a pendant, and then this is just a really early ped seed.
Yeah. I guess for what it's worth, you know, both runners are very accustomed to an Oops All Dungeon seed. They're game 1 actually. They did all 3 they did every single dungeon except for Aga. And nothing was on ped, by the way. And they just had to basically do all the dungeons in order to find progression.
Yes. Alright, so Matt's first checks in here are the Firelock side, which locked by all 3 Meyer small keys, and we only have 1 of them.
Yeah, I was also gonna ask, like, so, you know, I think I wanted to say in Illis versus Matt, one of the things that Illis actually skipped in Meyer, Pendant Meyer specifically, was actually the Firelock side, and of course ended up having nothing, but I was really like, is that maybe something you would also consider doing? Or, you know, you're here in Meyer, and it doesn't matter what the logical implications are, you're just gonna full clear this place.
I wouldn't skip it because I'm just too thorough of a person, and that's just how I route anyways. But I can see and understand why people do skip it if they don't have, like, if they've not really been given a whole lot of keys to this dungeon early on. But also, if you're here, like, super early, like, if this is one of the first things you end up doing in the seed, then I think it's totally reasonable to do Firelock side because, you know, the 3 keys could just be wherever.
Yeah, no, that's certainly a good point. Yeah, and I think maybe like when Illis was doing this, it was pretty late in the game, right? So then, you know, the chances of your 3rd Meyer small being somewhere in GT, right? You know, at that point, you maybe just can take that risk. But you know, yeah, we're actually, you know, early to mid game, you know, kind of level. Yeah, we really don't know where the rest of the Meyer keys are.
Of course, we always talk about pod having its own small keys, but there have been a number of times where I've been in Meyer, and Meyer has popped in with one of its own small keys.
Yeah, Meyer, Turtle Rock, you know, all these places. Definitely still, you've seen, you know, this is a small key to this dungeon. Eri also looks like he is investing some amount of time in these overworld checks. Actually already doing a mirrorless Smith sequence. Oh, but that is a really nice Master Sword. Yeah, so okay, so that's for combined between our runners, that is tempered.
That is not something I suspect Matt's going to pick up, considering that powder was back of pod, I think.
It was in the pod dark like rupee maze on the left side. Yeah. So again, that is not something that Matt has. Who has a bit? Oh, but there's the bow.
Okay. Well then.
Oh well. Okay. So now everything that we've seen Eri do is okay. Sorry. The bow lock side is yes. It's logic. Sorry. The back of pod.
There's still several pod keys away.
Yeah, we need a couple more of those. But yeah, that might be something that potentially could push Matt over there. At least as one piece closer than where he would have been.
Yeah, I don't suspect Matt's going to want to go back over to the pod area for a little while. Not without, I'd say, 2 or 3 more keys at least.
Yeah. And also, you know, especially if a mirror maybe pops up somewhere, that would be pretty great. Especially in this case, if Eastern Palace big key pops up somewhere, that would probably be a bit more incentive. Yeah, and given that, you know, we did see Myers a pendant, we did see that Hera was a pendant because we both beat the dungeon, and you know, the chances of, you know, Eastern or basically any of the other dungeons remaining, right, being a crystal is actually pretty high at this point.
You say that, but what if this is one of those rare seeds where instead of 7 crystals and 3 pendants, there's 7 pendants and 3 crystals?
I would, you know, there's always been a debate between which bot is more superior, Lazy Kid or Zaha bot, and you know, that just might answer this question, Hawkins.
Time to make it happen.
Yep. Alright, yeah, so you know, with the lamp, of course, Matt looks like he's gonna go back to Vitreous to take him on, and of course, no Fire Rod again, can't do any type of spooky action. So we're gonna get the, you know, the classic way of being able to clear out Meyer.
Yep. With the cape, this shouldn't be too bad. Master Sword cape isn't that bad. Plus, we did just pick up that bow. So
yeah, that's true.
Overall, not have a whole lot of issues this fight.
Yeah. Of course, again, accomplished energy runners both on Matt and Aries' side, you know, and Matt certainly probably be comfortable, at least, you know, for most of phase 2. Yeah, Matt as well is kind of demonstrating in this case, you just keep slashing, you know, the more action you take, the less, you know, your magic kind of drains, and also with the slashing, he's kind of hoping to kind of get a couple extra side swipes into that big eye, so he doesn't have to spend, you know, as many arrows.
Yep. This is definitely the hey, I want to be safe during this fight strat. It might be a little bit slower than going in with the spins, but when you're spinning, you're using up magic at a little bit of a faster clip, and could potentially run out, and then all of a sudden you're exposed and dangerous. That is pendant, and I think the only thing Matt picked up of value in here was that bow, which you know, is still good.
Oh, yeah, that bow is certainly going to be very, very useful for him. Alright, okay, next clearable dungeon. Alright, so okay, we're 2 for 2 for pendants, let's make it 3 for 3. No, from Matt's perspective, like this is
if ice is a pendant, I am just running, or not running, I am casually making my way over to the pedestal, like, immediately.
That is certainly true. And of course, no, again, you know, this is inverted overworld travel. No great way in order to get over to Eastern Palace. And so, of course, you know, do we want to walk all the way to Hoshua just for the green pendant? Let's just gonna hope in this case that it's gonna be crystal. And of course, Eri does not, in this case, you know, has not gotten to Meyer yet. So I think from his perspective, he's just kind of going in and just hoping for the best. Oh,
there's boots.
There's the boots. Oh, much better. Okay, so last game between Eri and Matt, boots were also in Ice Palace, but they happened to be in Ice Tea. And Matt actually even in the interview said these were probably the most expensive boots I've ever had to go get. Just in terms of time, because no cane, and it was also pretty painful in order to get to because he had to loop multiple times. And so very great sight in this case for both of them in order to have boots so early. Especially Eri, since he didn't have boots at all.
Yeah, also 2 very nice icebreakers. Cannot stress that enough, though. Those are very clean on both runners' side.
Oh, yeah. Actually, yeah, so both Matt and Eri, like, when they Hera potted up, I mean, it was just, like, lightning fast, right? You think they actually had boots? It was just so smooth. I mean, you could tell these guys are very experienced.
Speaking of Hera, both runners have since picked up the Hera big key, which I guarantee you neither of them ever want to go back to.
Yep, Now, okay, I guess like if you pick up a book, would that kind of further incentivize you to go over there? Or would you? No, fair enough. That's a great answer, Walkies. I really like the definitive there.
that is all kinds of nasty.
Oh, we do have a Skullwood small. Okay, that does kind of help at least put Skullwood's Mothula back more in logic.
It helps for sure. Ooh, big key to pod. That'll definitely push Matt in that direction. Although I don't think he's picked up another pod small.
Yeah, so. No, I believe you're right. Certainly, very much trust our tracker profile. Basically he has been quite good so far. And yeah, like. Yes. And yeah, like, as you said, right? Like just having a big key, like it really just opens up, like the big chest, right? And of course, opens up the backup pod. But again, is that we still need a couple more small keys in order to kind of make a trip worthwhile. Matt, of course, doesn't know there's another small key in pod to kind of help him out. So he certainly doesn't want to take that chance.
Yeah, you're not going to pod at this point for literally the bow lock side. This is probably also, speaking that now that we have boots, this is going to offer Eri like the one check in the game that Matt can't do, and that's King's Tomb.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct. Not quite in the most convenient location.
No, but specifically with the bow, it is an in-logic King's Tomb.
Yeah. That's definitely true. And you did mention, of course, that there are whirlpools that we can take on the light world overworld in order to kind of help us travel a bit. Certainly, maybe could be something for Eri. Not quite enough. Yeah.
He might actually do that right now because he has mid, so he can just lift up the rock. Pop
Yeah, that's true.
And take, and rather quickly jump in the portal.
Yeah.
That really wouldn't be too bad.
All right.
Eri, please be careful.
Eri, I believe, does have a potion. These falling icicles are not going to be his friend, though. He is. Oh my gosh, Eri!
I would say, potions are great, but if you don't use them, they're not great.
The falling icicles do 2 hearts of damage. Holy cow, Eri!
Okay, we're fine.
God. Okay, alright, yeah. Eri is, he has learned how to not die.
These are dangerous fights on both ends. Like, Matt's over here, like, barely dodging it on his end.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, at least Matt has blue mail. So he's not, like, super in dire shape, but oh my gosh,
alright, we're improving. We are improving. Oh, and we took a cold stare puff to the face. Was this a crystal, by the way? I didn't even pay attention.
I also did. Tofu marked it as a crystal, so I'm going to trust him as one.
Perfect. Okay, it is a crystal. Alright, so that is 1 crystal on both ends. I appreciate Matt's Donkey Kong Country MSU.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so Matt's going to save the old man now. A little interesting because I think this is kind of all he can do here. Like, without the mirror, he can't mirror back to Dark World, so curious to see kind of what his plan is next. It looked like he was coming up the mountain to do a Turtle Rock play.
Yeah, and of course, right, I was gonna say, like, with the lamp, of course, to rescue the old man is technically illogic. Matt may not necessarily be happy with it, but, at least it's something. Looks like, though, Eri is kind of retracing some of Matt's earlier steps and doing some of these light world chats that Matt has kind of already seen.
Yeah. Also, absolutely nothing to do with the race, but this is a really good track on Matt's end.
Oh, heck yeah. No, the DKC trilogy for this MSU is, this has been, Matt's basically, jam throughout the tournament so far. Certainly very much appreciated.
Alright, Eri now kind of cleaning up the South Shore. He'll end up picking up his Tempered Sword. a very nice save and quit.
I think Eri just feels better. I mean, I don't know. You just gotta watch like the movement between like Eri and Matt. It just seems so fluid now when they have boots. It almost gives like a sense of comfort like from them.
Oh, absolutely. Just their sick ability to just like find just the perfect pixel where they don't like run into something.
Yeah.
Instead, they just kind of brush it right aside.
Yeah. I'm also, like, for what it's worth, I'm also very glad to see kind of like Matt and Eri find boots at the relatively same time. You know, like, there's been certainly a lot of, discussion, debate about, boot start versus, finding boots versus boots hand, and it's like, when you watch a race, kind of like one of the things you don't really want to see is, one runner kind of having boots for like, 30 plus more minutes over the other runner, right? And so it's really going to be able to quite see, like both runners kind of have like an equal footing. With movement.
So Eri's coming in here doing Waterfall Fairy. Does not have the money for Zora. We know that there is money for Zora on the ledge, so Eri's going to kind of get bailed out right here.
Assuming he does check. I don't know if he wants to. Like, as I know that, sometimes maybe people don't want to, like, peek, and then once they see, oh, there's nothing on Zora ledge, like, then, Zora himself feels kind of pretty isolated. I don't know if Eri would necessarily subscribe to that.
Looks like, though, Eri's going to head over towards the eastern area. Have not seen this from either of our runners. Without a bow, could be a little bit unfortunate, but we haven't seen an eastern big yet, so it's at this point not that big of a deal.
Yeah, so this is at least going to be a couple, actually lots of new checks on our side. The green pen is at... Oh, turn around! Oh, poor Matt!
Oh, that's...
Oh my gosh. Well, so Matt's going to be able to pull the pedestal after this. Oh, and assuming he has the key.
And he doesn't have the fire rod either, so we're not...
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So we're not doing a whole lot in here.
Well.
And, like, this is actually only going to be 3 checks for Matt. But I mean, with 4 keys, like it's hard to sit here and think to yourself, 4 TR keys. Something seems fishy about this.
Oh, if that's gonna be the turn rock the key, yeah. If that's gonna be turn rock the key, jeez.
Yeah.
Alright, well, so we know now, at least on that side, is that we have everything, all of our crystal dungeon, crystal pendant knowledge, and so of course that Thieves' Sound big key is definitely very much required because Thieves' Sound's a crystal. We do have a Thieves' Sound small key that we picked up earlier from I think Super Bunny. So in this case, whenever Matt and Eri go in, they're going to be able to full clear the dungeon.
Yeah, we like Matt doesn't have full knowledge yet because Matt didn't talk to Sahasra. Eri I don't think either runner actually has full knowledge. No, Eri has full knowledge because Eri map checked. I don't know. I know Matt doesn't have full knowledge because he didn't talk to Sahasra for green pendant knowledge.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It was Eri that did that. But I don't know if Eri knows that Myra is a pendant. I don't have either runner's formal stream up. Eri's doing front of escape. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and again, being this an inverted seed, the front of escape, this late in the game is certainly very reasonable, just because, well, you don't really get that much access in order to come over here in the light world. Another pod key, though, certainly going to be, if Matt comes over here, that's going to be, great incentive for him to kind of go back into pod.
Definitely interesting, because we haven't really seen a lot of pod keys. I think that's just our 3rd one. Collectively, I don't think Matt has actually picked up a pod. Well, since the beginning.
Oh, jeez.
Book.
We found a book. Oh, all right. Matt's thinking. Oh, I guess he maybe doesn't have any other options.
He doesn't have anything else to do in there. Well, we now know why we had 4 TR small keys. That book is our only way to get into Desert the Seed, and by process of elimination, we know it's a crystal. And Matt has the big and small key, so I think Matt is just going to make a beeline to Desert right now.
No, certainly very, very reasonable on Matt's side, right? Everything you need is to clear an actual crystal dungeon. Certainly going to be very high incentive. Yeah, doing it double map check, so he now knows, of course, 100% that Desert is a crystal. We do end up seeing, of course, just a minor difference between, his overworld routing and Eri's. Eri has the mitts, he has the flutes. We actually did see Eri kind of take a quick desert trip over there a little bit earlier. Matt is going to have to run his way over to Desert Palace.
Yep, stopping at Bombo's tablet along the way, again, because of inverted, something we have access to just when we get live world access. Just a hard piece this time, though, nothing too bad.
Matt kind of showcasing. I think Ari ended up showing us a little bit earlier, you know, Agina, and of course Checkerboard Cave is just readily available here in the Light World. You know, you can't mirror from Dark World to Light World in order to get to this.
Curious to see what Ari plans to do next, because he does have, you know, he essentially has all of Meyer at his disposal, where he'd pick up his bow. He still has Turtle Rock, and I don't think he's done Hookshot Cave yet, so...
Correct.
Those are kind of like his two big, you know, his two densest options at this point.
Yeah, of course, we know that the initial dip into Turtle Rock is definitely very much required, right? We saw Matt pull out the book from Vanilla Big Key chest. We saw him pull out the Thieves Town Big Key, you know, from the Compass chest. So eventually, you know, Ari does have to go over there. Now, whether or not he has to go over there right here, right now, potentially not. But it looks like, actually, yeah, with that Fire Rod, and maybe spurred on from finding a Skullwood Smokey out there somewhere, we're going to be able to kill Mopula. Not logically, of course, but, you know, it is an available crystal for us to claim.
Yeah, so this will be good. He does also have the Big Key to Skullwoods, which was somewhere.
A waterfall
we got our fourth sword.
Yeah, fourth sword. By the way, a nice early bomb jump on Ari's side. This is 123 runner caliber, by the way.
Alright, so that is all four swords. Matt does have that skull big, so he will be able to, when he comes, well, I don't know, like...
I guess when are you coming over here, right?
Yeah, I would say you come over here when you have the Fire Rod, and you know, the Fire Rod's deep in pod, and we still haven't seen any additional pod keys aside from the ones that Area picked up.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know, we talk about, in this case, you know, how Area ended up getting, in this case, Mitts and Fire Rod, in this case, was that he Mimic clipped early on when he was in Palace of Darkness, Mitts, and another pot small key on the Bowlock side, which enabled him to keep going on pot, and then that was where the Fire Rod was. And the powder, for that matter, but at this point, is probably just the Fire Rod, and Mitts are going to be the most valuable.
I'm beginning to wonder if maybe there's another pod key in pod, like either
there could be
key or Harmless Hallway.
Yeah, yeah,
that's really rough in that scenario.
Yeah, right, because, you know, you're not going to be able to know unless you actually, like, have a key in order to open that. Like, it could be, like, self-locking key, right? So, yes, you actually won't know, necessarily. Oh, man. Oh, you just watch Ari, you know, with boots, basically just falling right back into NMG muscle memory. You know, it certainly seemed a little bit precarious, especially at the beginning, right, as Invert is a very dangerous mode at the beginning. Certainly, you know, a little bit of wobbly, but, I mean, once Ari got, you know, Tapper's sword, boots, gold sword, whatever, like, it's just, he just looks so comfortable.
Looks like he's trying off some poke dash strats here to take care of Mothula. Very nicely done. And we are tied up again. Oh no, Ari takes a slight lead on crystals.
Yeah.
For a few seconds.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Matt, you know, going back here to his completable crystal dungeon with the book, with Desert Big, Desert Small. He does have half magic and the lamp. You know, I certainly have some hopes for what he's going to do for this Lemos fight, but, you know, I believe he's probably going to use the Ice Rod. That's my guess.
I would say you're hoping for an NMG fight, aren't you?
Yes, maybe just a little, but, you know, I believe, you know, again, he is up against somebody like Ari. You know, head-to-head NMG Lemos fight may not necessarily be in his best intention. Oh my gosh, Matt, are you doing this?
Oh, alright. He knows you're commentating.
Oh my gosh. This is awesome.
This is like Clear Mouse is commentating. I need to show off some NMG strats right here.
Oh, this is so good.
Is it though? I mean, this is turning into a 3-cycle.
Or a 4-cycle?
This is a 4-cycle, so
yeah.
Is it good? I don't...
Well, I mean, you know...
Clear Mouse, is this 124 execution?
Alright, okay, remember, Matt Wallkick said this, not me. If you watch this back.
Matt, you're very good at NMG. Don't listen to me.
Admittedly, though, thank you so much, Matt. That was really, really great to see some bow Lamos finally in action. I will say, though, you know, of course, we're seeing both screens. Ari did pull out the Fire Rod. Chances are, Ari's gonna have a little bit of a faster time with the Fire Rod in this case.
Probably, yeah. All right, King's 2. If there's something here, this is pretty big. Although, what really does Matt have at this point? to do. Oh, he's at Thieves Town. We're going to Thieves Town.
Oh my god!
It's the mirror!
It's the mirror! Oh, wall kicks! How? Okay, can you quantify big in this case? Because that is
huge!
Pretty big. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, the one location that is mid-slot now has our mirror. I mean, you know, not only, of course, does the mirror just afford you so much efficiency, right, between Light World and Dark World, it's also very much required, you know, looking at Swamp Palace.
Yeah. That Matt can... No. Eri has to have the Swamp Swallow key. That was in...
Blind's Hut. Or
yeah.
Blind's Hut.
Yeah, Eri for sure has to have that at this point.
Yeah. No, of course, and keep in mind, right, you know, a lot of things were kind of gated, you know, by, in this case, like the mitts and the bow. Now, Matt does also have all the stuff. He is making great progress on his own, right? He has not been gated or blocked by any means. You know, he has cleared a lot of crystal dungeons himself. He is actually very on track to clear his next crystal dungeon. It's just that eventually he's going to be funneled into pod. It's just that, you know, Eri in this case has a little bit of a head start on some of his chats.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about getting funneled into pod at some point, but like, Matt still hasn't picked up another pod key.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's still only 3 known pod keys in the seed so far. So like, you could almost expect at this point that like the game required you to get the bow out of where was it, Meyer Big Fest? Where was the Meyer Big Key? Like, did this game expect you to go into pod for the Moon Pearl to go get the bow? So with, you know, 0 or 1 pod keys to go back into pod to pick up the mitts to eventually get the rest of the pod keys. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, no, this is why, you know, it might even sound cliche at this point, right? Logic is merely suggestion. I mean, the chain that you literally just listed off is so. I mean, you know, we may as well be counting, you know, more inverted mountain climbs at that point, right? Like, you don't want to make so many double dips or triple or quadruple dips into these dungeons just in order to get progression.
Right. So with the mirror, Eri would be able to pick up a lot more in Turtle Rock. Without the big key, you can't complete it, but he knows that it's green pendants. So I don't think not having the TR big is going to be that big of a deal for Eri. But he knows like a clear of Swamp Palace is, you know, the obvious next play.
So, right, and I guess in inverted keys, I assume you would also just do left side first, or, you know, you do left side all in one go? Like, you wouldn't simply go to the back?
It depends on how you're feeling so far about the seed. You know,
well,
it's a feel play. I do it because, again, I'm some thorough person who, you know, clears everything. But you know, if Eri's feeling confident being up a game, he might skip it. If he's feeling unsure about himself, he might skip it. I don't know. Certainly
very reasonable. You know, I guess we're gonna see what Eri does, but I mean, given his, you know, early mimic clip into basically getting the fire rod and getting those mitts out of pod, which got him the mirror from King's Tomb, like, certainly could be actually a pretty good feeling.
So what all are we missing at this point? We're an hour into the seed. By the way, follow runners if you haven't, please do. These are 2 incredible runners, as evidenced by Matt just casually picking up spin speed right at the entrance to Thieves Town.
He knows what he's doing when it comes to speed and boots.
But yeah, I mean, we're looking at this point for collectively, the Eastern big and the GT big. That's collectively what we need.
Yes.
Eri still needs to either find the second bow or pick up the bow in Mire. Matt, of course, needs to go into pod for his mitts to get the mirror, which I imagine the mirror is going to have to be required in some fashion this seed.
You mean like getting into Swamp Palace? Or?
Yes. All right. Just because you were correct about it. All right. I see how it is.
I mean, you know, if you this could be, you know, a 7-pendant 3 crystal seed, wall cakes. Like, we don't know this yet, okay?
It's true.
I mean, has anyone actually read the sign, you know, outside of GT? To see like what Ganon's requirements are? I don't think so.
I mean, there's no sign today because this is inverted clearmouse.
Oh, you're
I mean, Ganon Tower is on top of High Rock Castle. I don't think anyone's gone there yet.
Oh, well, you're right. So we don't actually know the goal. Okay, all right. That's what I say. Good. Shovel. Oh, by the way, another nice quick fish on Matt's side. Another great NMG strat. Again, 124 run. Saving what, like 20 frames or something? But you know, hey, 20 frames is 20 frames. You're gonna need every single thing you want when you become a 124 runner.
Where is Matt off to now? Is this a spike cave play?
Oh.
Like we're starting to see. Oops.
We definitely didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, no, didn't see anything. But we're starting to see Matt do some one-off checks. So Matt's kind of quickly running out of good things to do. I'm a little surprised he's going here, considering he does have Sahasrara Eastern, which, you know, given the quote-unquote checks per minute, which some runners like to consider as value and speed, would obviously be better than doing, say, Spy Cave. But if there's something here, say like this is the Eastern Big.
Yeah. It's like that small key too?
Big.
Oh no. That's
still not a pod key.
That's not a small key that we care about. I mean, maybe logically we care about it, but I mean, like, we already beat Ice Palace on both sides. You know, anything ice related at this point, it does not matter to us. But yeah, I would actually kind of like, oh jeez, there's a small key to Hera. That's also not another key we want to see.
Yep. That dungeon doesn't exist
agree.
in any capacity ever again.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I'm beginning to suspect that, you know, you are onto something. You know, I think Matt is still trying to hold out in this case in order to go over to the pod Eastern area, right? Or anything, right? Another pod key, a mirror, Eastern Palace big key, like anything, right?
He will pick up one pod key here. There was one in the first chest of escape. So this will be his second pod key, which, I mean, even that is still like, do you really want to go to pod just with just the one extra key? I mean, yes, you can get to the back, which is, you know, what Matt needs to do along with picking up the myths. But that's like, it's just one key. Like,
exactly.
You want at least one more, which we know is just in pod.
Yeah, it's just so hard because we know it because we saw it on Aries' side, but Matt does not know it, and Matt knows absolutely nothing about what else is going on other than just his own game file.
But that is Swamp done for Eri. I mean, I don't even think we mentioned at all about Eri's, you know, Swamp play. Picked up a shovel, I think, and I think that was the only thing of value.
Yeah, and the shovel was even on the left side as well. I guess for what it's worth, right? He does have the mirror. He is literally right here. You know, at least it's not going to be too bad of a check.
Yep, this is a convenient check. Eri still has. I'm impressed. Eri has put off Meyer for as long as he has, even with the knowledge of it being a pendant. Like, this is. He's held off on Meyer for a while, and that's really impressive. Of course, there's a bow there. Oh, there's a big key.
Oh, is the big key?
Oh my god!
Okay, you were talking about keys that don't exist. Okay, that key does not exist. Okay,
it does not exist.
We're never seeing the inside of Swamp again at this point. Just like we're never gonna see like Hera basement. We're not gonna see Hera big chest. They just don't exist.
Alright, so this looks like it's going to be a TR play for Eri, which will be good, assuming he, you know, does everything and pick up his Thieves Big and his book.
Yeah, and right, major difference, again, you mentioned this earlier, right? The difference between Eri and Matt is that Eri here has the mirror. While he still does not have the Turtle Rock Big Key, that mirror, while it does cost, you know, 1 or 2 extra mountain climbs in order to kind of backdoor Turtle Rock, he is going to be able to access the rest of the dungeon. Whereas Matt, with only one way in, does not have that access.
Yeah, also very unfortunate for Matt, did get a health refill.
Oh no.
Cell, and has to take this very long death warp.
Another consequence of not having the mirror. Yeah, at least this green guard does, you know, half a heart damage for whatever, you know, armor you have. But, you know, looking at Matt's, like, 11 hearts, right? Like, this death warp is quite long.
Alright, so Eri gonna come in. Going in this way, we'll pick up his Thieves Big. We'll also be able to do the 2 Firewall lock checks. You know, curious, like, I'm starting to think Eri is developing a lead.
So far, yes. I mean, he has some pretty major big-ticket items that right now is kind of gating Matt, for the rest of the seed, right? He has myths, which unlock the mirror, which, we're basically going to see, the rest of Turtle Rock, for example, and yeah, myths, also, right, also Fire Rod was in the back of Pod, which, of course, let Matt access to another dungeon, but also, a couple more checks up here.
Alright, so what's Matt going to do with his second Pod key?
Looks like we're going to Pod.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna be surprised if this is an actual Pod dip. This is definitely.
Looks like we're going to Easter.
It looks like we're going. This is definitely the more reasonable of the two plays, I think.
Yeah, I think also here is, well, actually, no, he was inside Turtle Rock. I guess I don't remember if he got a map or not, but he is going to be able to find out at least what the green pendant is, which was Turtle Rock. And yeah, certainly also very reasonable for him to, make a detour over here to the Hospitalist first, because, the Eastern Palace Big Key is just sitting over here. Certainly would be really great to have that before you go into the dungeon itself.
Yeah, I definitely think the best thing for Matt at this point would be an Eastern Big Key in Eastern.
Yeah, this is definitely something that, Eri would probably be more than willing to kind of put off, right? Because he's already been over to Pod, he's gotten, like, a lot of stuff in the back of Pod already, so he probably just wants to only make one more trip over here. And so, what is probably the one, major kind of gating thing that he would like to have is that Eastern Palace Big Key. Alright, new checks on both sides. Matt diving into Eastern Palace, and this is more Turtle Rock access that Eri has that Matt was not afforded to without the mirror. Nothing really of note so far, though, on Laser Bridge. These are nice skips, though.
Hey, it's a pod key.
Oh my gosh! Oh, these are locations for these pod keys.
That's Pod Key 4. We're missing 2.
Meanwhile, Matt does pick up red mail. Again, I think blue mail is more than sufficient. Red mail probably can do without. Probably the more frustrating part for Matt, though, is that, you see how long that Death Warp ended up taking, in the back of Escape. Well, red mail's gonna make it even
This is gonna
worse.
be Pod. Oh, I was so ready for that to be another Pod key.
Oh my god.
No, it's just a GT key.
No, actually, yeah, and speaking of, we're a little bit, at the 1 hour 10 mark, right? And yeah, it sounds like then we still need, in this case, to find a GT Big Key somewhere. This is not, regular, like, tournament key sanity. The GT Big Key is somewhere, like, out in the wild. Oh, that pod key is...
Okay. That should push Matt to Pod at this point after this, which, Pod might be all he has left after this anyways, but... Given that he has the big key and 3 keys now, he's also going to be able to finish the dungeon.
Alright, okay. Eastern Palace still has value. I still approve, even though we don't have the Eastern Palace big key. Alright, Eri kind of backdoored his way into the vanilla big key chest, and he did pick up his book.
Yep, he picked up his book in Thieves Big, so... We're just gonna probably just clear out those 2 dungeons real quick, and then, yeah, where is this Eastern Big at this point?
We have a lot of GT smalls, by the way. Is this all of them across our runners?
Sure. Our tracker is saying yes. Top file, thank you for keeping us honest. Alright, Matt making the play into Pod, gonna be picking up everything that he has been picking up. He might actually, like, say the Eastern Big is just somewhere here in Pod, like maybe on Helmless Arcane.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That would essentially be GT mode for him. And then it becomes a matter of, like, how much do you check looking for the GT big key before you just assume it's in GT somewhere?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you that exact same question, right? So I know that, like, especially, earlier on this year, there was, like, the 80 keys tournament, right? Where also the GT big key was kind of, like, shuffled out in the wild. I mean, yeah, wall kicks, like, what is your call? For how much do you search for the rest of the game before just saying, you know what, I believe it's going to be in GT?
Man, where are we going, dude?
I don't know.
I would say maybe, I don't know, but hey, he's going to Bowlock side. He's gonna pick up Mitts, and then his third.
Yeah, his third pot small.
I forgot he doesn't actually have his third pod key yet. He's going to pick it up. So.
Yeah, right. So we just see Eri certainly did a bit more time investment than, of course, these really nice mimics that Matt ended up defeating with the bow. But of course, we certainly did see that the early time investment on Eri's side was well worth it.
Yes, very much so. There's
all right.
Mitts for Matt. Again, shout outs to his MSU of choice. Really making me want to play Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, all 3 of them, right?
I mean, all 5 of them.
All 5 of them?
Yes, the one for the Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze.
Here I was just thinking about the SNES games.
Yes, I mean, the SNES games are darker and their music is a bit darker, but don't discount the Wii and the Wii U games. Those games are also
absolutely.
really good.
No, that's 100% true. You can also see, by the way, this is when, ever since they kind of picked up Tempered Sword, even maybe Master Sword and Boots, you see just a certain level of comfort, right? From both the runners. Matt very, very much kind of showing, just how his splits become green after coming into Dark World in Palace of Darkness. Eri on his blind fight. Of course, that gold sword isn't going to help him. Actually, yeah, speaking of gold sword, what you do is actually see, Matt on the tempered. And again, I think you might actually be right, Wall Kicks, in that Matt might not ever see that magic bat check, ever. And in this case, I don't know if necessarily Eri would consider that, just because typically speaking, when you see all 4 swords, and you kind of spend a little bit of extra time, maybe out of your way to get the 3rd sword or the 4th sword, may not necessarily be a real feels good moment, just because you didn't have to spend that time.
Yeah, depending on where this Eastern Big is, though, I can definitely see Matt turning in the powder, just because we're getting down to kind of the nitty gritty, kind of towards the end game a little bit. So we want to, wherever this Eastern Big is, we want to find it.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen on either runner's side talking to the Big Bomb guy to see what our 5/6s are. So
I was actually exactly thinking that too. I was like, what places haven't we checked? And Pyramid Fairy is actually one of the locations. Yeah, no one actually's gone in. We had very early full pendant crystal knowledge, but not specifically which crystals are 5/6. Eri remembering that he does indeed have the Desert Palace small key. Kind of have to go against the grain here for NMG muscle memory.
Yeah, so Matt's going back in. We'll pick up his Fire Rod. I guess his next play at this point would then be to go do Skull Woods, which perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
It just becomes a matter of when does he go do the King's Tomb for the mirror.
The mirror.
Something that maybe could have helped Matt a little bit would be kind of maybe pseudo-go moding Swamp Palace. It's probably not going to happen at this point.
Because he's still going to be on the hunt for the GT Big Key?
He's going to be looking on the hunt for GT Big and probably Eastern Big as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's true. Between Eri and Matt, we've actually covered a lot of ground so far. We still have not seen these two Big Keys. But of course, Matt is going to be able to give us a bit more, this is extra checks, right? Just because, he has enough pod keys to hopefully give us the rest of the access here in the backup pod. Although, speaking of, where is that Turtle Rock Big Key?
GT.
It probably okay.
It's
yeah, that's probably true too.
I was like, I doubt we're too worried about that.
He's the Eastern Palace Big Key. Oh my god.
Alright, well.
Back. I mean, is that actually a good location for that Eastern Palace Big Key on Aries' side? It seems like he's gonna eventually go over to Pod, right, and finish the dungeon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's still got to pick up his bow.
Oh, right! He needs his bow from Meyer. That's right. Totally forgot about that. Minor wrinkle.
Yeah, so this is going to put Eri, once he picks up his mirror, this will put him in GT mode. So, yeah, I think the clock is ticking now for for Eri. I might have said that entirely wrong, and I apologize. I was talking earlier about Eri kind of developing a little bit of a lead. I think that Eastern Bicky in that location is critical for Matt because he can now. He's not doing left side swamp, so he's going to gain that time back from Eri, and I can't imagine he's going to go anywhere close to the back of Turtle Rock without dipping GT first.
Yeah. No, that's actually certainly a very interesting point. Yeah, that's right. So Matt's gonna be able to finish this, and then as you said, like he might just end up kind of pseudo go moding swamp. Maybe he'll check map chest, maybe he'll check compass chest. They're I don't know, reasonably on the way. But yeah, left side, especially some of like the earlier time investments that Eri had, he probably won't actually match.
And yeah, to answer chat, left side swamp had the
shovel,
which had the swamp big key.
Yeah. Again, just a chest that we're just never gonna see in this seat.
All right, but this is Eri going into Meyer, which is good. He'll pick up his bow. I suspect he's gonna finish off Vidi. Like the bow doesn't really do a whole lot by itself. It gets us Armos. It doesn't get him Armos, but it gets him Helmasaur King.
And the rusted pot, right? Presumably. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and again, this also might just be kind of like a state of the match, a mindset for Eri, how he's kind of feeling throughout the seed. If he feels like maybe he needs to maybe be a bit more aggressive, right? Just leave after the bow because that gets me another crystal dungeon I can complete. Certainly we know, probably at this point might actually, we know it's going to be beneficial, for Eri, but he may not know that. And still, again, he's looking for Eastern Palace big key, and he's still looking for GT big key.
Very clean fight from Matt. Almost jinxed it by saying that a little early, but I felt confident. I felt confident that I have been glowingly showing off, or being nothing but kind to Matt. So.
Well, that's because he had a lot of target practice and warm up from the Landos. So certainly, very reasonably speaking, Armos was going to be no match for him.
All right, so where's Matt gonna go now? Still doesn't have a whole lot because he's hasn't picked up that mirror at this point.
But he does have Skull Woods. He had picked up the Fire Rod. That's going to be probably a very reasonable step for him.
Yep.
And then actually, regarding this mirror, I don't know if it's going to be reasonable for Matt to go to Kingston from here. But when Eri ended up picking up his mids, like he was in Ice Palace, and again Overworld routing with the whirlpools was a very actually convenient way to get over to Kingston. Right, Matt does not quite have that luxury. He is have to go into Light World consciously in this case in order to go over to Kingston.
So Eri has since picked up his bow. Are we going to see it? Yep. All right.
Nice, Eri.
All right.
Eri's showing us what he knows how to do and not do with boots.
Eri just casually dunking on everybody right there.
Yep. Yeah, and of course, another difference, of course, on Eri's side is that, he does, in this case, have a Fire Rod and Matt does not. So, looks like he is going to set up an alternate version of spooking action. So he is not going to have to go and blow open this the switch room room. And never mind. We're gonna just use the old good old-fashioned switch and and whatever sword beams, or sword slashes, and we're gonna go right through.
I appreciate you describing how awesome that was about to be. So, for everyone in chat, it was going to be really awesome.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and of course, bow in hand that we ended up getting from Meyer. Eri also does have the gold sword. I mean, I certainly probably expect a closer to, textbook NMG fight. Doesn't necessarily have to go through the exact textbook script or whatnot, but certainly going to be pretty fast.
So I'm really curious to see. I'm assuming with this bow, Eri is just going to go straight over to pod.
Yep.
and he'll end up picking up his Eastern Big, and will be in GT mode. Matt picking up crystal number 6 as we speak. Actually has a 1 crystal lead over Eri momentarily. Basically, I'm just saying it'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top once Matt picks up his mirror.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like we're kind of at that point in the race where we're going to converge.
Yes, and you know, assuming Matt does pick up his mirror relatively close, actually this potentially looks like a mirror pickup or a Light World entry.
He's gonna do hammer pegs.
Okay. Oh, right.
Hammer
he just recently, he recently just got missed. Very understandable. But yeah, I mean, like compared to what Eri has, right, a gold mode or even pseudo gold mode, Swamp Palette is actually much faster in this case than what Eri has, both pod and Eastern completion.
But having said that, like the checks that Matt's doing right now, and that we've always seen Eri do, this isn't really time Matt has that he can give to Eri right now. Eri's path at this point is straightforward. He doesn't know it yet, but once he's going to pick up the Eastern Big in here and be in GT mode. Matt's path forward isn't as straight. It greatly depends on where he's about to, like, his next play right after going into Light World right here. If he goes to King's Tomb, then his path is straightforward, and we have a very tight race. If he continues to fiddle around with some of the checks that he's doing, like if he finishes up the Smith chain, that's time that I don't think Matt really has to give. This of course assumes that GT Big Key's in GT, which I think is a reasonable assumption at this point.
Yeah, I was even trying to think, right, so we do have Pyramid Fairy still available to us. I don't know if that's going to be a check for either Eri or Matt to explore before we, go into GT looking for it, right? And the fact that, they do have a mirror may not actually be a bad, combination. Take the big bomb from the Light World, go over, check Pyramid Fairy, and then kind of, mirror right back. But again, it all depends on where that GT Big Key is. Given how close, in this case, the race kind of is, and the situation, I don't know if this is a thing, the clock is ticking for both runners. At this point, you just kind of have to, make, in this case, the right call.
Yeah. Matt's picking up his gold sword right now. Something for our runners to think about as well once we pick up our 7 crystals is, are we turning in Pyramid Fairy as we head over to GT? Something that we could see. Matt, because Matt's 7th crystal will be Swamp, is going to be in a little bit of a maybe slightly better position to go to GT right then and there. I don't know. Because he's going to be at the dam, and GT at this point is in Hyrule Castle.
Okay, that is crystal number 6, and so assuming in this case Eri does go back to the pod, if he leaves, that would be pretty dangerous. But assuming he doesn't, he is going to go pick up his Eastern Palace Big Key, and then I'm going to assume you still do check the rest, right, of pod that's available to you before heading over to Eastern.
Yeah, I would think so. Eri also, I don't think, has stepped foot into Eastern, so it'll be curious to see how much of Eastern he chooses to do. I can't imagine we're doing the vanilla Big Key chest. That seems very out of the way.
Yeah, and the fact that he also did skip the vanilla, Big Key chest in Mire, which is the cutscene chest, right? I think it's also very reasonable for him to basically skip the vanilla Big Key chest in Eastern Palace. There is the mirror for Matt, so he is now only searching for the GT Big Key. Swamp Palace is our next destination for Matt, and then presumably it might be Big Bomb, into Hyrule, GT in this case. Where's Eri going?
Well, he went to go do the bomb jump, and then realized that the bridge wasn't there.
Oh. Good thing we have so many pod keys, so we can actually go through Harmless Hellway as a quote-unquote connector of sorts.
Alright, so both runners now in GT mode. Eri just needs to finish off Eastern. Matt just needs to go in to Swamp right here. We've got a race.
Oh, no, that's definitely true. I mean, Eastern Palace is actually not too long of a dungeon. Swamp Palace also is not too long of a dungeon. Some of this, I guess, evening out is, Matt kind of contributing a little bit of his time in order to do the Smith chain. And here we are, basically, 6 crystals apiece from each runner. We're gonna have to see where the dust settles and where that GT big key is. Okay, right. So Wallcase, we have like at least we have 3 GT smalls apiece. Like, is there a preferred like GT route? I guess in this type of mode.
I am not one to speak to what is the overall fastest route. I would imagine it would be compass room, then mirror to do left side.
Okay.
Go hope right, mirror do left into Ice Armos and vanilla big key chest area. But again, I don't run. I'm not one to time out these kind of things, so I don't really know what the fastest route is at that point.
Okay, so it's certainly very reasonable. Yeah, I'm just wondering if there was, especially in like a regular like keys or inverted keys type of mode, if there was like a more preferred route versus one, over the other.
Given that we have more than 2 keys, it's not an issue.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like you can full clear the basement with 1 key, assuming you go right first to compass room and then pick up the key and then mirror go left. You can full clear the basement with 1. Having a second one is just makes it easy. Yeah, Aries gonna skip vanilla big key chest.
Yes, as expected.
Here. Yep.
Yeah. Matt actually looks like he has checked the map and compass chest. Oh, look, like we're missing a big key. Do you remember where that big key is?
Yeah. For Matt's sake, I hope he never finds it.
That's correct. Yeah. So actually, at least it's looking very reasonable. Again, Ari and Matt at this point probably trying to do some more efficient checks, more options per second/minute that they have available to them. Left side swamp. It's certainly not going to probably be on the table from Matt, just like vanilla big key chest is not on the table for Ari. That hair is small though. Matt's probably just groaning. See, like that is also something that I don't want to see. We're also not watching anything on Ari's side. We're gonna watch keep focus on Matt's side while Ari makes his way over to Armos.
Alright, so Ari's looking like he's gonna be the first one to get actually crystal number 7. But Matt's probably gonna be in a slightly Ari.
Oh, everything's.
I believe in you.
He didn't have target practice from Lamos. I 100% blame that. I don't understand why he chose to use a fire rod. So this is all just 100% Ari's fault. Can't change my mind.
So something small to think about. Both runners have 8 arrows.
Yeah, that's true. Funny how that actually ended up working out. Yeah,
right,
so close though. Yeah, I mean, no, this is handful of seconds apart, right? Basically, 1 crystal cutscene drop difference between Ari and Matt.
Well, I mean, Ari's got to go in the light world right here. Like.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Matt is already in the light world. He's literally gonna dash straight up. Dude, how close?
Got to dodge his portal.
Oh, right.
Just kidding. Place the portal too close.
Oh my gosh.
I know. He had to go in the portal. Duh.
Yeah,
just kidding.
No. I mean, like, it was literal, like, synced up light world transitions. Holy cow. Big bomb into GT. Let's see what this ends up being.
Alright, Clear Mouse, where's our GT big key?
I don't know what mechanics. Oh my god. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna actually hope that it's actually in Pyramid Fairy. Like, I just want to see an execution battle between Ari and Matt. 123 runner, 124 runner. Like, I don't think any, either Ari or Matt would have like such a strong execution advantage over, the other. I want to see, this race is decided by their execution alone, as opposed to, Ari going left in GT and Matt going right, and then, one of them finds the GT earlier than the other. But of course, it didn't happen in Pyramid Fairy. So.
Of course not. But we did pick up our ice key, which I'm sure is very important to both of these runners. And not at all useless.
Alright, Ari, just a handful of screens, a couple screens ahead of Matt going into GT. Right, now you mentioned earlier, this is inverted. GT is where Castle Tower is, so we are going to go into Hyrule Castle to go up to the ceiling. Ari's going to walk past the sign that tells us it is a 7 pendant 3 crystal seed. Look at those beautiful pendants flying as we enter in GT.
Alright, Ari choosing right first.
This entire series, by the way, Eri has gone right side. I mean, normally speaking, he goes to Southpost room first. This is certainly a very new side of Eri. But, you know, this seems very reasonable as well. You mentioned this route earlier, right? Hope room. You have a guarantee. You have, in this case, 3 small keys. Go to Compass room and then mirror over to the left side. Matt's doing the same thing. This is so tense. This is exactly what I want. I wanted this to be an execution battle. So at least the route looks very similar. May the best red Dark Link win.
They both do in fact that, bro.
Jeez. Alright, there's another small key that we don't care about in this case, but I guess maybe logic. I don't even know if we needed it logically because the pod key was in the front, right? I don't think
pod key was in the first chest in front of us. So it was not. It would have had to have been because you can't. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. This is in GT. I guess I don't know. Do you know if you needed to steal the key like on Aries side? In the hallway? Okay.
No.
So potentially actually a little bit of time gain. Every minor bit counts at this point, you know, between Eri and Matt. If only we had picked up a fire shield somewhere along the way.
I need no shields.
I mean, Spider Shield is pretty much all they need, you know. Spider Shield is like the one nice thing to have when you want to go into Swamp Palace. Maybe if you're coming out the pyramid, can block a spear from the moblins, but you know, Fire Shield is certainly going to be quite useful in that room.
So I don't want to talk about it yet because we still have so much to do here in GT. But if the GT big isn't here,
oh my god,
this swings. I mean, it's just a matter of who finds it first, but I think it swings significantly more in Aries' favor, largely because I suspect Matt would then just go to Torrock. Silvers.
Oh, that could
Of course,
be.
if we pick up the TR big key in here and the GT big is on, say, Trinex, you know, then obviously that swings it back into Matt's favor. But having said that, I'm still, you know, hey, we're in GT, we're a room apart. It's still super close.
Yeah, and we have a very convenient compass that we ended up picking up. Is this the big key? Oh my god! No! Bad big key! Put it back! Put it back! Oh, is this the big key? Oh!
Right.
Okay, so we're on the roller coaster of emotions. I think Matt's gonna go through the exact same thing. Looks like actually a very nice U, but that is go mode for Eri and really, like, 15-20 seconds apart. That is go mode for Matt. We are on an execution battle for the GT climb and Ganon. Go Dark Link! I don't even know who to root
Go Dark.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? Okay, I have to say, you know, I think because, you know, this is Eri versus Matt, right? Like, this series, honestly, I wanted to go with the best of, I don't know, like 11 or whatever, right? But, you know, barring we can't have something like this, I would like to favor Matt so we can get at least a game 3. But, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see. Top tier execution runners, 123 versus 124, going up the gauntlet. I mean, Eri, giving up a little bit of time here on GVZ. But this is exactly what I want to see between Matt and Eri. Just so good. Basically just putting on execution on display.
Alright, so we're starting the gauntlet at 35-29. We'll see where Matt is. Alright, 10 seconds.
That is like nothing. Eri, oh my gosh, Eri switch over to... You talk about 10 seconds being a difference, right? Yeah, and Matt, you know, kind of going back over to switching to wooden arrows. You know, you kind of see the lag kind of slowing these rooms down for Eri. We're basically one room apart at this point. Alright, Eri's taking up his setup with silvers, a nice one-cycle landmark. Matt, oh no!
Oh, that's missing a cycle.
Let's miss a cycle for silvers. The lead is kind of, oh no! That's short hop! Oh my gosh.
Alright, that gives let Eri grow in his lead to probably close to 20 seconds at this point.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really tough to make up at this point. It's not impossible, but
it isn't. Of course, the frame rule does not help on this bridge. And again, I mean, it's just been back and forth, right? Sometimes you just cannot control the enemy's RNG, and sometimes you just lose the lottery. But most important part is I don't know how good these Eri and Matt are kind of feeling right now. If they're thinking a good position and a bad position, they just need to finish up the game at this point. I would also maybe like to point out, while it maybe not quite this particular run, but I think one of Eri's NMG recent run, I think on the weekly, he also did have a 6:45 GT split, which I think arguably was like the fastest anyone has actually done GT before. Like, I mean, certainly very impressive, but Matt is certainly no slouch himself. Did we need that key? Maybe we need that key.
Matt.
Oh, right, okay.
You need
right.
to pick up the extra key, so.
Gotcha. Alright, okay.
Hover.
Yeah, that is saving a little bit of extra time on Eri's side. Doesn't have to go wait for killing Moldorm or the explosion. I don't recall if Matt is comfortable enough with this. I already lost the frame rule though once.
Alright, on to Aga 2 for Matt. Eri's GT minus, I think, Gauntlet Room 2 has been pretty flawless.
Alright, but of course Agatu can still make the difference. I think that was three hits in?
Yeah, I think we're at 3 total.
Okay. I think that was actually pretty decently handled cycles. Just need one more as Matt also starts the same patterns into Act 2. Oh, that looks like a triple.
That should be able to cut one of these cycles, I would think. So that's 4. He should be able to get a 2 right here.
Oh,
just
no,
kidding.
So close.
I shouldn't have said anything.
Alright, okay. Bad drop down for Eri. What is the time difference as he drops down into Ganon? 138.51. Matt is just a handful of seconds behind. I cannot believe how close this is. Wall kicks.
It's so close.
Eri starting his Ganon fight. He does have Gold Sword, as does Matt, so, getting, the 1-1 here for phases 1 and 2 is certainly not going to be too much pressure, just because you don't have to, the timing isn't so tight, but, Eri is already on to phase 3, it looks like. They are on red mail, but don't, be too overconfident. Again, it still does hurt, and any fall at this point would be detrimental. Okay, we missed a torch, but it's okay.
It's fine, because with 2 silver arrow shots right there, Eri is going to defeat Ganon.
Wow.
And with just seconds to spare, he is going to take this round of 16 match over Matt, take a 2-0 series win, and I think he moves on to the quarterfinals. Yeah,
he is going to be in top 8. Get your GGs out in chat for Eri. What an accomplishment. What a race between Matt and Eri, ending in so close. But yeah, with that victory, 2-0 sweep over Matt, that is, he has secured a spot in the semifinals. Or quarterfinals, right? Quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, yeah. Yes. And don't look at it as like a 2-0 sweep, like, oh my god, one runner is so much better. I mean, just look at the final times. Like, this was...
Oh, heck yeah!
Could have gone either way, no matter what. So, 2 amazing runners, 2 incredible runners, 30-second difference, can't ask for much more.
Yeah, get your G's on chat for Matt. I mean, he played a phenomenal, not only played a phenomenal game, he played a phenomenal series.
Yeah, and I believe we are joined now by our runners. GG's to both of you.
Hello, GG's? Matt and Eri?
GG's.
Yo, GG's, Matt.
GG's, dude.
What a game.
Listen, I said to Eri, I was like, when he beat me by like 20 seconds, I was like, if I turn on the restream and I'm ahead, I'm going to be mad. But if I'm behind, I'm not, and I was behind, so I feel okay.
Yeah, you guys were, really close. Obviously, kind of throughout this entire route, this entire race, despite kind of taking 2, very different routes. Eri, your early play to Mimiclip got you your mitts and got you your fire rod much earlier. But in the end, you guys just converged into GT, and at one point we're essentially a room apart, and kind of what ended up being just giving you enough space, Ari, was Matt. Unfortunately, you had a little bit of a difficult land mode too.
Yeah, that wasn't 27 seconds though. That's like 8 seconds. Even if I one cycle that, this is the exact same result. This is I actually get fanfare snipe them instead of.
I don't think my heart pounded so hard yet in a race. I don't know. I don't know. I respect Matt so much. He's such an amazing runner. We first faced each other like way back in 2018 when we were both scrubs.
Yeah.
And since then, he's won SGL. He's like reasonably got his 124, and I don't know. Like I was super scared of him, and I did not play well today. So it's just when, like, I think everybody in a race knows that feeling when you're just climbing GT or you're fighting Ganon, and every 5 seconds you just look over at race time and you just expect a done to appear. The worst part is that earlier, like a couple of hours ago, I had a race against someone, for a different tournament, and I actually just got sniped on Ganon fight. So I was just so afraid that the same was going to happen. But really, like, so much respect to Matt. He's like, I would say that this was a finals worthy matchup.
Oh, absolutely.
You are 100% correct, Ari.
It shows just how strong the competition is overall that this ended up being a round of 16 match.
Yeah, I mean, probably the saddest part, in my opinion, is that, because you guys had to, again, face each other here in the round of 16, it was not the finals. And you just know that, someone has to go home or end their tournament, progression here. And it was just, I didn't want either of you to well, I want you both to keep going.
That's kind of the bittersweet thing about tournaments like this, right? Because it's super awesome to face friends and people that you like hang out with and chat and race and in different modes and different categories. And then the bittersweet thing is when you have to knock someone out because you don't want to. You want to see others succeed, and yeah, yeah. Being on the other side, Matt.
No. Yeah, listen, I am A-okay with this result. Like I have some IRL things that was going to make going deep in this tournament a real difficult for me. So I am perfectly happy with this result. Ari, you're the man. We've become friends. You know how much I respect you, and this is exactly what I wanted. You join these things to have great matchups. I don't really care when they are, and I am perfectly happy to lose to you. I wish you the best, and I hope you win the whole thing.
I kind of have to.
Yes, you have to. Please take my energy.
So, Ari, you now have probably a little bit of time before your next matchup. Some of the other rounds on the other end of your bracket, me, haven't quite gone through and finished up yet. Kind of what are your thoughts about like looking at? I don't know if you've actually looked at your quartet, so to speak. Any thoughts of who you might want to play or like the runners that you could be facing, knowing that I might be one of them if I don't get eliminated this week.
Yeah, I mean, just don't get eliminated this week. I know.
We'll
we're
promise
not playing,
that.
I know we're not playing cross keys in this tournament. But,
Dang
like,
it! Yeah.
You're strong enough. Yeah, I know. I don't know. Like the other quartant, like the other half, this section is really really rough. I mean, I think we've all talked plenty about how really difficult this tournament is, like compared to previous tournaments, and the top 64 is just so stacked.
Yeah, I think our little pocket of the bracket is the toughest one to get out of. Like, if you look at what my route would have had to be through the finals, like I would have had to play Illis, Ari, likely either Andy or Wall Kicks, then maybe like Humbug to get there. Like, it was going to be insane either way.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I find it really hard to put like a percentage on who I'm going to face in the quarters. It could be any one of you four.
For sure.
Dude, can I just say one thing about this seed? Man, I felt so great about putting off Dark Death Mountain until I had the cane, until I had all those 4 TR keys, and I get the book and the Thieves' Big. I got 2 fully clearable crystals, and everything's just empty. It all just goes through bow-locked pod with 0 keys. Like, that was unbelievable.
I'm
I
sorry,
could
Matt.
not believe that wasn't the god route. When I pulled that book out of, like, super early, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then it was just like, nope.
The pod keys in the seed were mean. Like,
I only found 3, I think, like, in total. I don't even know where they are.
I think we only collectively saw 4 or 5, because I know there's one in Laser Bridge, which you needed the mirror for, which made you go back into pod. Like, that was kind of what led you to on such different paths, was because Eri mimic clipped, and so he had those mitts early on, and had the fire rod earlier because there was another key right there on Bowlock Pod. So, like, and just watching the seed progress and not finding any pod keys, we were wondering, like, what is it going to take for Matt to eventually be forced into pod? Because Eri had eventually picked up his mirror via King's Tomb, so we knew those mitts were required.
Yeah, like, when I went back to pod, the only locations I had left in the game were Bonk Rocks, Ether Tablet, and Hera Big Chest.
Boy, these are great locations. Oh, by the way, I was gonna ask, did Eri ever tell you where the Swamp Palace Biggie is?
No.
So, in Swamp Palace, the shovel was on left side swamp, and the shovel led to the swamp big.
That's dirty. No, mirror was my, like, GT mode, so obviously there's no way I'm going to left side swamp.
Yeah, so Eastern Big was my GT mode. Yeah, I got back to pod Eastern really late. Like, like, there were barely any pod smalls. I think I found one in Swamp, and then one in the back of Turtle Rock or something. Oh, no, wait. I don't even know. I found...
There was one also in the front of Escape. I remember that.
Oh, Escape. Okay, then maybe it was Escape in Turtle Rock. Yeah. So I had 4 when I finally went to Myra, got my bow. And I was like, okay, well, now I still need this stupid Eastern Big. And I had a couple of isolated spots left, because I died so much this seed. If anyone took count in the credits, there was a 12 next to my deaths.
Oh, wow.
That's not usually a number you see outside of Randomizer.
I guess, I mean, okay, related to that, I don't know. Okay, so one, I guess I'm glad that you kind of, like, got over and actually succeeded, to Mimic Clip, kind of going over, like, some of the mental hurdles. But, like, was the Mimic Clip always intended when you went over to pod, or was it kind of influenced by some of your, in this case, early game deaths?
Oh, not sure. During practice it went perfectly fine. So I was thinking, yeah, if it comes down to it, I'm just gonna do it. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with just one key. Getting the second one just made the decision so much easier to just clear the back first and then come back for the 2 in the front. But I think if I only had one, I was too afraid to have to do a second clip in order to be super efficient. So I was probably just going to do the front 2 instead and just leave with the blood.
I think you guys both put on amazing races.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was all,
to both of you.
Yeah, this was just so, I don't know, it was just like so beautiful, I guess, to watch. It's also, I think, for what it's worth, even though there was actually still quite a bit of divergence, in terms of just major, I guess, like, movement items, you actually got the booths relatively, close within each other. And so that was actually really nice to see, not like, well, in this case, game 1, where Eri, you never found the booths, and Matt, probably took like an extra, I don't know, 3 minutes or 4 minutes to actually get to the booths to begin with, right? And on this one, you guys were like, a handful of seconds apart, basically climbing GT and going into GT and looking for the big key, right? And so, I personally could not ask for anything better to basically see, like, execution basically kind of like end up, going through and deciding the race versus, I can't, I spent 30 minutes looking for an ice rod and, and Matt found it first, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, it's just, chasing down Eri in GT, going in 15 and 20 seconds behind, probably not going to happen. So it kind of is what it is. Like I said, I'm just happy I'm just happy I didn't get terminated by him in the end game. You know what I mean? If I was 10 seconds ahead going to GT and he just tracked me down, that would have been tough to swallow. But this, I'm 100% good with.
You play super well, Matt. Your execution was great.
In this one potentially, but man, when you're thinking about inverted keys routing, it's so hard to play well, and you're just like, what do I even do? Especially seeds like this, where it was kind of wide open for a lot of it, and it was I don't know. It's not exactly who plays a lot of inverted keys. I sure haven't played it ever outside of this tournament. So, what do you do? You shows to us getting the two dumbest modes to play each other as well. We couldn't go down in Ambrosia, could we? It's always.
Oh, Ambrosia would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, like imagine game 2, or like if you won this one, game 3, Ambrosia, Boots on GT, have fun.
Then we just double forfeit and move on with our lives.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been way better. Yeah, it was a really hard seed to play. But yeah, I'm glad that apparently it was a really exciting race for the spectators, and that we were able to put up a show. But again, Matt, thank you so much. I hope your IRL stuff is gonna be super exciting and good.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, like I said, best of luck. I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of this. I will be maybe I'll jump on comms once or twice, but it's gonna be a great tournament to watch the end of.
I hope you're at least able to stick around for stuff here and there.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll be around. Don't worry.
I can confirm. Clearmouse said nothing but bad things about you, Matt.
I was very happy to see you do a great target practice on Lamos. That is very much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Eric, though.
That is how bad I am with
if I had the bow.
Any last things before we wrap up? I think we should probably get this wrapped up here soon.
No, just thanks a lot, guys, for the restream and everything, and everybody who volunteered to make this whole thing happen. It's always a lot of fun. And GG's again to Eri.
And I can only second what he said. You're all amazing. Hope to hear your lovely voices more.
Well, heck. Now I've got to commentate more. Dang it!
Yeah. Ball kicks. I mean, you fill out the form already. You're in the system. Certainly looking forward to your signups more.
All right. We'll see.
Commentating is so hard when you're also an attorney. It's like you already have to spend so much time racing this game.
It's true. But thank you both to Matt and Eri for the fantastic race. I would absolutely implore you, if you haven't already given either of them a follow, please give both of them a follow. They are tremendous people, tremendous runners. And want to also thank Topfile, our tracker, Clearmouse. Thank you for thank you for commentating with me. I don't think you were a restreamer. I think that was Drossi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you setup helper. Mm-hmm.
All right, setup helper. Thank you, Drossi. You're the best.
Yeah,
Clearmouse. Thank you. This was fun.
Oh, this was such a blast, and yeah, I just want to actually, also, echo probably, all the different things that everyone else has given. Tofile, I mean, again, you see him tracking so many different modes, like cross keys probably in particular. So certainly, very familiar with any type in this case, like he's saying, he did a really excellent job for us. Always great to see, Tofile around for tracking just because he has so much confidence. Wall kicks, it was definitely a blast to be able to commentate with you. Really glad that this opportunity ended up working out. And of course, Matt and Eri, oh man, I mean, you guys are certainly, I mean, everyone here involved, right, is just, you've ranked us so high, as like members of the community, that I really want to support, and, to see, do well, move forward. I mean, this series in particular, it just made me so happy. I to be able to, be here and try and, support you. Certainly does, break my heart probably in that, the series is ending. I really wanted a game, well, I don't know, 11 between you guys, but I know that couldn't happen. But I'm certainly just very happy that, both people, have at least, had a good experience for the tournament. And of course, Eri, best of luck for you moving on. Being in top 8 means that you're probably going to be waiting a little bit for your opponent. But, in this case, this is what, your 3rd game or something? Take a break
for today. You could probably, rest up a bit.
Yeah, I got another one tomorrow, so.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, I'm just so happy to be able to, support you guys. And again, I think you guys are just amazing people. Everyone here involved is just so, it's so heartwarming to be able to see everyone do so well.
Something less heartwarming. I'm waiting for your wall kicks.
Airy Terminator.
I'm not getting past around at 32. I got people that I still need to beat. So I got to get through Freddy and then either Andy or Madcap, and that good luck. That's not going to be easy. But if I do, you're going down, Airy. Just don't worry about it. Don't even bother signing up.
Okay, seems good.
Easy.
But with that, I think we're gonna call it. Thank you again, everyone. I am going to sign out. Claire Mouse, I'll leave you with the final word.
Sounds good. Yeah, and so for those of you who can't get enough more rando, we do have 2 more matches tonight on SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 3, both at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. It is GFE versus Vortex and Telethar versus Zero Rush. I believe they are. Well, yeah, they are. Yeah, actually, yeah. GFE versus Vortex is actually already round of 16, game 1, and I believe in this case Telethar versus Zero Rush is a rematch for game 2. So certainly should be very, very exciting. The schedule is not quite set yet for tomorrow, but certainly just keep your eye on the schedule. We'll have, in this case, looking at it, just lots of matches coming up. So we are wrapping up, getting closer, top 32, top 16. Going to be soon top 8, top 4, and then finals. It'll be here and gone before you know it. So certainly tune in and watch more rando. And again, have a great night and have a great rest of your weekend until tomorrow.